Now, the private messages revealed in the David
This
spelled
is so
d4vd
sick, bro.
case just gave us the clearest look yet at what was really going on between him and Celeste.
This is so
because
sick,
these were
man.
not just random conversations between him and Celeste. According to
No, they
LAPD
weren't.
detective Corey Farrell, the messages show that Celeste became pregnant when she was only 13 years old, underwent an abortion, and continued discussing that pregnancy with David for months afterward. The
So
court heard
disgusting,
conversations about pregnancy scares, contraception.
The stuff that he did to that girl, even if he wouldn't have killed her, he just ruined her life. It just make it worse that you killed her. But it's like, bro, like it's so sick. Like it's so sick how you such a predator, how you could be such a weirdo or such a predator. I don't know, bro. Like lock his ass up and throw away the key. Don't even give him the death penalty. Let them people in prison whoop his ass every day.
Keeping their relationship
likes
secret and the intense regret Celeste later expressed over the abortion. But the messages become even more significant when you look at the prosecution's theory of the case. Prosecutors of course alleged that Celeste eventually threatened to expose that relationship and the alleged abuse, and that David had millions of dollars, his career, and potentially his freedom to lose if that information became public. Now that remains the prosecution's allegation. David has pleaded not guilty, and the defense had not yet cross-examined Detective Farrell about these messages when court ended for the day. But what we found out gave the public its clearest and most disturbing look yet at what prosecutors say what was happening between David and Celeste behind closed doors. So in this video, we're getting an actual look inside David's private messages and communication with Celeste. We're going through what they said about the pregnancy, the abortion, the secrecy surrounding their relationship, and the messages prosecutors believe may help explain a possible motive for her death. According to LAPD testimony, the conversations between David and Celeste indicated that Celeste became pregnant when she was just 13 years old, identified David as the father, and later discussed an abortion with him. The court also heard descriptions of child sexual abuse material investigators allegedly recovered from David's phone, but more specifically, prosecutors presented a series of text messages between David and Celeste discussing an abortion she said she had in January 2024. At the time, Celeste was only 13 years old, while David was 18 and would turn 19 in March of that year. The explicit messages were recovered from an iPhone seized during a search of David's Los Angeles home, while the text message conversations were obtained from his iCloud account. Investigators described finding a large connection of CSAM material allegedly involving Celeste, and prosecutors believe this evidence may help explain the motive behind the killing. They alleged that Celeste had threatened to expose the relationship and the alleged abuse.
Listen, y'all, YouTube and Meta might owe you up to $1,000 if you or your child grew up on social media. If you or your child spent years growing up on social media and experienced serious mental health issues, you should hear this. Recently, a jury just ordered Meta and YouTube to pay millions for their role in designing and promoting addictive platforms. They know that their apps can cause anxiety, depression, or body image issues, but they never shared those risks with us. They never made us sign anything that we knew the risk. They just maximized their profits. And the recent historic verdict underscores the consequences of those decisions. But you better not worry. Morgan & Morgan is stepping up to hold these platforms accountable for the harm that they have caused. Click the link in my bio to take a very short questionnaire quiz, because you might be entitled to a potential recovery of over $1,000.
And that David killed her on April 23, 2025. Before that information could become public, prosecutors further claimed that he later dismembered her body with a chainsaw inside the garage of his home. David, whose legal name is David Anthony Burke, has denied the allegations and pleaded not guilty. Detective Corey Farrell then laid everything out for the court. Farrell, the prosecution's final witness at the preliminary hearing, read the messages out loud and described more than 3 dozen explicit images that he said documented David's alleged essay of Celeste when she was just 13 and 14 years old. Prosecutors said the images showed sexual acts taking place inside David's home, but they were considered too graphic to display publicly in court, which says a lot. Farrell also testified that one screenshot recovered from David's phone showed that his lock screen at one point was a photograph of him and Celeste embracing while both were naked from the waist up. Other photographs shown in court also revealed that Celeste had David tattooed in red ink on one of her fingers. And that detail is especially disturbing because it was one of the fingers later found amputated from her body. And during Farrell's description of one image that allegedly showed David penetrating Celeste, her mother, Mercedes Martinez, began crying in the courtroom. Deputy District Attorney Beth Silverman, one of the prosecutors in the case, walked over to comfort her and told her
there's nothing. The dad need to crash. Listen, bro. I don't know what's going on in the family over there or what. I don't know. But I know I wouldn't be mad at him if he just got his ass up out of there in the courtroom. I don't know what he could do. Plastic. Listen, bro. I wouldn't be mad at you. I'm just putting it like that. I ain't encouraging nobody to do nothing, but I'm putting it like that, bro. Plastic knife. I don't know how you gonna do it, but I'll get him up out of there in that courtroom and go to jail for it. No, this is crazy.
I really think this is stuff you don't need to hear. I just think it's too much. Celeste's mother, Mercedes, then stood up and left the courtroom in tears, with Celeste's father, Jesus Rivas, walking out alongside her. Now, the messages prosecutors presented stretched from November 2023 all the way to April 2025, and throughout those conversations, Celeste repeatedly told David that she was afraid she might be pregnant. The earliest messages shown in court came from late November 2023, right around the same period prosecutors alleged the sexual relationship between them first began. Celeste wrote that she was basically praying for her period.
So the text messages started in November of 2023. From my understanding, she would have I think she turned 12 in September. She would have just turned 13 in November. No, I'm tripping. So she was 12. She turned 13 that year in September of 23. So she's freshly 13 at this point. He's an 18-year-old full-grown man. That is sick, bro. If you're 18 and she's 16, you're 18 and she's 12, just turned 13, you're sick, bro. You are sick. You are a demon. You are sick. You are a demon, and you will rot in the gates of hell forever. This is some of the craziest shit I've ever seen in my life. And I've seen a lot, bro. 4,000 or 5,000 reactions posted on just 2 channels. Not even counting my other ones. I've seen a lot of shit, bro. This is up there with some of the craziest shit I ever seen in my life.
To come because she refused to have children. David allegedly responded by asking whether she had missed the date she was expecting it. He then urged her to begin tracking her menstrual cycle through an app, writing, "I just need to make sure you're on top of your shit." Now, at this point, Celeste was only 13 years old, yet the two of them were allegedly discussing missed periods, pregnancy scares, and closely monitoring.
And I'm gonna say this, I don't give a fuck what nobody say. This is why I always look at niggas who act like him, dress like him. I always think they weird. That's the first thing I think in my head. You ain't gotta like it. You ain't gotta dislike it. When I see niggas that paint their nails black and they wear eyeliner and they wear skulls on they fucking finger, and I think you're a weirdo. I'm not surprised. When I see pictures of him and then you tell me what he did, I'm not surprised. You feel me? Like, everything about him just screams weirdo. He's selling shirts with fake blood on them. Like, he just a weirdo. Everything about him. All that goth, I'm gonna kill my mom, all that shit, man, you weird. I'm sorry. I ain't saying everybody got to be normal. I'm just saying I think them need to listen.
When her cycle was supposed to begin. And then the situation expanded beyond just David and Celeste. According to Detective Farrell, Celeste underwent an abortion in early January 2024. In the days leading up to the abortion, she allegedly texted David that neither of them were capable of taking care of a child. David allegedly responded.
So the 13-year-old is texting a grown-up man that we're not capable of taking care of a child. That's what the 13-year-old is telling him.
By telling her, "You are so much stronger than me, baby," before adding, "I love you." He then mentioned advice he said he had received from his mother. David allegedly explained that his mother had advised him to question paternity. In other words, to make sure the baby was actually his, if he ever found himself in a situation like this. He then asked Celeste directly, "It is mine, right?" ? Celeste replied, "Of course, it's yours,
So did his
David."
mom know
Farrell
she was...
read,
So did his mom know he was dating this little ass girl? Because from my understanding, he had this girl in London. He had this girl in Vegas. He had this girl in like New York or something, which I'm trying to figure out. How did you get a 13-year-old out the country without her parents knowing or your parents knowing? How did that work? There's a lot of questions I got, bro. I'm gonna be honest with you. And whoever helped, like to lock their ass up for child abuse, what it is, child neglect, child endangerment, something. Lock their ass up, man.
Messages about a plan the two had created just 1 month after the abortion, and that plan was called Operation Awesome. According to the text, the plan was for Celeste to leave home and move in with David. When she said she did not know what to bring, he allegedly replied, "We've been over this for weeks," before telling her to pack anything she used that he could not immediately replace: her clothes, makeup, jewelry, and shoes. He said he would bring her 2 duffel bags, and later texted that he was coming to pick her up in Lake Elsinore, where she was from. Then on February 13, David allegedly asked whether he should hide somewhere near her house and have his bodyguard bring her out to his car. Celeste
Who's
responded,
the bodyguard? Lock his ass up too, bro.
FBI, open up!
Call the popo, huh?
Who is the bodyguard? Cause there's no way around. You got the bodyguard. She said, "Oh my God, that's so embarrassing." So if the bodyguard did that, bro, it's no way as a bodyguard you went and got some girl who's clearly a little ass girl and brung him to, bro.
"Oh my God, no.
This is some
That's
sick
so embarrassing,
shit,
dude." So this was not just a vague conversation about living together someday.
Right.
According to the messages, they had allegedly spent weeks planning exactly how she would leave home, what she would pack, and how David would get her into his car without drawing attention. David allegedly replied, "Baby, this is the most important day of your life next to your wedding day, and you're worried about being embarrassed?" So David was, in other words, describing Celeste leaving her home as one of the most important days of her life, second only to their future wedding. 2 days later, Celeste was reported missing. 14 months later, she was dead. And according to Detective Farrell, their communication went back even further than the pregnancy. He testified that David had been messaging Celeste as far back as 2022, when she would have been only 11 years old. The messages prosecutors presented were often, as he actually explicit, and at times controlling. Now, as far as the messages that Celeste was sending, Celeste's messages could be affectionate, but they also showed moments where she appeared
He got that Jeffrey Epstein ass smile. It's weird. It's crazy how a lot of sick ass dudes got like the same looking smile. It's a few niggas that I'm not gonna say, but it's a few niggas that I know that did some crazy shit, and they all smile like that, bro. Like if you cover up the top of his face, his smile is the same as Epstein, bro. It's the exact same. Creepy, weird. Like you just hear this.
And emotionally overwhelmed. Then on June 11, 2024,
like, bro,
David allegedly wrote
gang.
that he could not wait for them to move in together without the cops bitching. He told Celeste he would take her out every day, and she replied that she missed him deeply. But only a few hours later, the conversation took an even darker turn. David allegedly told her that he wanted to gather her personal documents so they could leave the country and get married in Italy. So this was no longer just talk about seeing each other in secret. According to the messages, he was allegedly discussing
Can you marry a 13-year-old in Italy? What the fuck? Hold on. Pause on the play. How old do you have to be to get married in Italy? Okay, Italy says 18. Although minors age 16 or 17 may marry with special authorization from a juvenile court. So how is he planning on getting married to a 13-year-old girl in Italy? Can a 13-year-old get married in any country in America, in the world? This is some sick shit, because if anything says yes on here, I'm never going to that country in my life. No. Several countries defer to a parallel legal system where girls can marry at puberty as young as 9 to 30. Holy shit. Holy fucking shit. Hey, bro, I'm about to throw up.
Or Celeste would leave her life behind, move in with him, leave the country, and eventually get married in Italy. Soon after that, Celeste became afraid that she might be pregnant again.
I don't even want this on my
she wrote,
search history.
"I don't like this," before asking David, what if the first abortion didn't work? David allegedly brushed off the concern, telling her that she would already have a baby bump, and pointing out that she had experienced multiple periods since then. He then wrote, "Nah, first baby gone. Celeste's messages indicated that she was anxious, that the abortion might have not worked, and David's alleged response was dismissive. Instead of taking her fear seriously, he mocked the possibility, treated her concern as unreasonable, and then reduced the pregnancy to the cold statement, "Nah, first baby gone." The entire response shifted attention away from what Celeste was feeling and treated a deeply serious situation as if her anxiety...
You want me to... And I think whoever was his fan, I think y'all fucking weird too. What did you see about this person that was like, ooh, yeah, I like him? Bro, it's a fucking weirdo, bro. Like
was ridiculous. Then on June 19, Celeste allegedly told David that she would come see him and sleep over, but she added one clear condition: just do not get me pregnant. David allegedly replied that they had done a good job avoiding another pregnancy and claimed the first and only time it happened was because of a damaged condom in December. Now, around that same time, another message revealed that David's mother knew him and Celeste were having sex. When Celeste asked whether his mother knew, David allegedly replied that she believed sex was probably the first thing they would do when they saw each other.
Lock the mom up. Lock the fucking mom up, bro. Lock the weird ass mom up. Lock the weird ass mom up, bro, right now. Right now. Because I was hearing that people were saying, like, the mom knew, but I didn't never hear the, like, for sure that the mom knew. Bro, because there's no way that mom knows without knowing that this, like, mama's a grown-ass woman who's had kids before. You're not about to tell me that the mom looked at Celeste and was like, yeah, she grown. Or she's even close to being the proper age to be dating her son. There's no way.
And that detail matters because it suggests their asexual relationship.
Look how he's holding the mic. You know he's a fucking weirdo. He's a weirdo.
Completely hidden from the people around him. At least according to David's own message, his mother understood that him and Celeste were having sex, and Celeste was still only 13 years old at the time. But a little more than a week later, another message showed an even more disturbing side of their dynamic. On June 27, Celeste told him that after they last had sex, she had to run to the bathroom because she was in pain. Instead of showing concern, David allegedly argued with her about whether it had actually hurt. He replied, "No," then claimed he remembered every time she had said "ow" during sex, and insisted that she had not said it once the last time. And this exchange shows the kind of control prosecutors say David had over Celeste. Rather than listening to Celeste describe what happened to her own body, he allegedly dismissed her pain and tried to tell her that her own memory of the experience was wrong. Then on July 10, Celeste asked him directly, "Does anyone know we even had sex?" David allegedly replied, "Nope, and I would like to keep it that way before we married." He then added that they should get married the following year and make the baby simple. So even while they were discussing marriage and having a child in the future, he was allegedly making it clear that their asexual relationship needed to remain secret. But by August 30 of that year, Celeste's messages had taken a much darker turn. She began sending David a series of emotional messages about the abortion, writing, "Realistically, I care about you. I killed my kid for you," Celeste wrote. In another message presented in court, Celeste described what happened as taking an innocent life of a little baby. So by this point, her messages indicate that the abortion was still weighing heavily on Celeste. She was not simply questioning the decision. She was expressing intense guilt over it. And for someone so young, she was remarkably clear about what she was feeling.
Right.
She understood that this was something she might carry with her for the rest of her life, and she was able to put that into words. Celeste told David that she would have been there for the child had they continued with the pregnancy, but instead of acknowledging the regret she was expressing, David allegedly told her that keeping the baby would have been selfish. The exchange shows them responding very differently to what happened.
Basically what he said was keeping the baby would have been selfish because I would have got caught being a weirdo. That's basically what he said. So you don't care about me getting caught being a weirdo for talking like
expressing this, grief, guilt, and the feeling that she had given something up for him.
If he ain't got his ass whooped in jail,
the decision and framed the alternative as selfish. Celeste then wrote, "David, I'm gonna have to lie to people around me, even my kid, for the rest of my life." Celeste told David that she avoided talking about the abortion because it made her extremely upset, adding, "I'd do anything to have it back." And David's alleged response to Celeste was extremely cold. He wrote, "Let's end that here," before adding, "I don't like talking to you when you're upset." When Celeste then asked how he personally felt about the abortion, he said he was saddened by it, but explained that what upset him even more was the way the child had been conceived, outside of marriage and outside of how he had imagined having his first child. Then he ended it by saying, "But I don't dwell on it." And that contrast is hard to ignore. Celeste was describing something that continued to weigh on her deeply, something she said she would do anything to reverse, while David allegedly made it clear that he did not want to sit with her emotions and had already decided not to dwell on what happened. By November 2024, the situation between Celeste and David appeared to be repeatedly breaking down. In one exchange, Celeste reminded David that she had been having sex with him for almost an entire year. David allegedly responded by telling her that she was acting as though this was their first breakup, when according to him, it was already their 8th. So this was not one clean ending. Based on the messages, the situation was already breaking apart. At different points, they were reconnecting, and that same disturbing dynamic was continuing. In an exchange dated back December 20, 2024, David and Celeste gave conflicting accounts of what had happened between them. On December 20, David wrote, "You asked me if I wanted to have sex, and I folded." He then claimed that they stopped. Celeste began crying, and he held her afterward. But Celeste immediately pushed back.
The fact that so many people knew about this shit too, and y'all waited until this little girl died to start talking about it and start saying shit, and like that is so fucked up, gang. The fact that somebody, like, so many people failed this little girl. So many people. It's not an 11, 12, or 13-year-old little girl's job to protect herself against grown-ass men. It's supposed to be other people's job to protect her. You know what I'm saying? It's supposed to be whoever was around David, David's brother, all these people who knew he was doing this shit with this little-ass girl who didn't say nothing and acted like everything was cool. And I see how it happened, even with streamers and shit. I see how people, they see something that's wrong, they don't say nothing, they just let it happen. And that shit is weird, bro.
On that version of events, she replied, "No, I didn't, David," and said they had only made out before she was going to leave. So even there, the two of them were giving completely different accounts of what had just happened. David allegedly framed Celeste as the one who initiated the encounter, while also casting himself as the caring person who held her afterward. But Celeste directly rejected that version, exposing how differently he was trying to present the situation from how she said it actually happened. Then the messages moved even closer to the date prosecutors say Celeste was killed. Farrell testified that they remained in contact and that the alleged sexual abuse was still ongoing approximately 1 month before prosecutors say Celeste was killed. But by March 14, 2025, only 1 month before Celeste was murdered, Celeste appeared to be trying to create distance. She texted David, "We can be friends, but like, online, I don't want anything to do with you in person anymore if I'm gonna try to move on." That message is significant because Celeste was no longer simply expressing frustration. She was clearly trying to establish a boundary and end the in-person part of their relationship. Detective Farrell also revealed another detail that prosecutors say later became important to the investigation. In a December 2023 message, David allegedly told Celeste that he used the name Travion Davis for all of his packages and everything. That alias would later become significant because prosecutors say purchases connected to the alleged dismemberment of Celeste's body were made under the same name.
What a fucking idiot. And it's like, you a weirdo, you sick, you all type, and you fucking stupid. Like, how dumb do you gotta be to think that you can order some shit with your card to your house that you live at your address and put a fake name and the police ain't gonna find out after you already texted her the fake name? You already...
Detective testified that David used the alias Travion Davis to order 2 chainsaws from Amazon on May 1st, 2025. Then 3 days later, investigators say he purchased a 3rd chainsaw from Home Depot and had it delivered through Uber Postmates. That 3rd saw was described as a 10-inch Makita, and unlike the other 2, it was never recovered. And those were the main messages revealed during day 4. Now there were more conversations presented in court, but I wanted to focus on the exchanges that mattered most. The pregnancy, the abortion, the secrecy, the way their relationship was changing, and the repeated moments where David appeared to dismiss, pressure, or manipulate Celeste. These are also the messages prosecutors believe may help explain a possible motive. David has pleaded not guilty, and the defense have not yet cross-examined the detective who testified about all this. But based on what we found out, these messages gave us the clearest look yet at what prosecutors say was happening between David and Celeste behind.
When does the trial start? Please, for the love of God, because you get his ass out of here, bro. I'm tired. Like, fuck. Official trial date has not been set, but it could be scheduled to begin within 60 to 90 days following his upcoming formal rearrangement on August 31st. So he gets rearranged on August 31st. What is his charges? First degree murder, continuous abuse of a child under 14, unlawful mutilation of human remains. Yeah. There you go. Get his ass. I ain't gonna lie, bro. He's the disgrace. The world would be a better place without him on it.
Those doors. What really stood out to me was Celeste's emotional intelligence and the way she communicated. Even at her age, she was able to clearly express fear.
I'm sick. I can't do it no more.